This is draft season. John Schmeelk, Tony Pauline with you. Thank you for being with us. We are back from Indianapolis at the Combine after a lot of steak, a lot of walking around, a lot of talking to people, a lot of watching guys in shorts and T-shirts running around on a football field. Always a good time at the Combine. John Schmeelk, Tony Pauline from Sportskeeda. Tony, how are you, sir?
Okay, a little tired. Stayed for just about all of the workouts, although they dragged on for a long, long time. Some of those days were 7, 8 hour days. I finally got out of there late Sunday afternoon as a second group of offensive linemen were working out, but it was a productive, if not tiring, week.
Yeah, look, you start early, you go late if in terms of talking to the prospects, doing the work, and then trying to network and talk to people at night. So there are certainly long days, and as always, Tony, a lot of the talk was about the quarterbacks. Now, it was disappointing. And by the way, just so fans know, we're going to do offense today, since next week is going to be kind of in the middle of free agency, and we don't really know what's happening yet. We're just going to do the second part of our Combine review, defense, next week, and we're also going to get kind of the latest things Tony is hearing at each one of these spots heading out of the Combine. So that's what these next 2 weeks will look at. The week after that, we're going to talk about how free agency will impact team needs in the draft, and that's what these next 3 weeks will kind of look like on draft season, so certainly stay tuned. All right, so Tony, let's start with quarterback then. It was the big talk, and we'll get to the guys that did throw, but the bigger talk with the guys that did not throw, the three consensus top three, and you can tell me if you think that they're not still the consensus top three. I know some people have intimated J.J. McCarthy might be slipping into that conversation. Caleb Williams did not talk. Drake May did not talk, did not work out, and neither did Jaden Daniels. So your thoughts on the quarterback position overall?
I thought it was a mistake by Drake May not to throw. We talked about Caleb Williams. We knew he wasn't going to throw. Jaden Daniels, I mean, he's going to go to his pro day. He's going to throw to Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. I mean, he's the number 2 quarterback in the board right now. There's only one spot to move up, and I don't think he's going to move up to that spot. I do think it was a mistake that Drake May did not throw. I disagree with the fact that J.J. McCarthy could displace Drake May as the number 3 quarterback. We'll talk about that workout. I think Drake May's probably going to go in the middle part of round 1. What I heard coming out of the Combine is Sean Payton of Denver absolutely loves J.J. McCarthy. As I've said from the Shrine Bowl, I mean, he wanted to move up to get a quarterback. He may not have to move up to get J.J. McCarthy. And as we saw just the day before we're taping this podcast, they're letting their veteran quarterback go. They're going to take an $85 million hit against the salary cap. They need a quarterback. I think it's going to be J.J. McCarthy.
All right, so let's talk about the guys that did throw. Let's start with McCarthy, Tony. And, you know, talking to people out there, I would be at this point shocked if he drops out of the top 15. There are just too many quarterback needy teams between that 10 and 15 area, whether it's the Vikings, if they don't re-sign Kirk Cousins. You mentioned the Denver Broncos. The Las Vegas Raiders are in there. Heck, I'll even throw the New Orleans Saints in there, not even to mention the Atlanta Falcons at number 8. So there are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. And, you know, he's a guy that I know wowed teams in meetings. You're listening to him at the podium. He's kind of like Captain America standing there. He always says the right thing. I'm about 8 games into his tape. By the time we record our next live podcast, I'll have gone through it all the way. But it just seems like, I mean, I'm willing to bet that he's going to be a top 15 pick here. Is that the impression you got walking out of Indianapolis as well?
I did, more so based on the need at quarterback and the fact that some teams are desperate at quarterback, and those top 3 guys are going to come off the board quickly, rather than the fact that he just blew anybody away with his workout at the Combine, with his throwing workout. I mean, the interviews you knew were going to go great. As I said all along about J.J. McCarthy, he's got a lot of moxie. He's got a lot of confidence. He was a terrific leader. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. You said you watched 8 games on him, but I know when I watched the throwing workout, I was not overly impressed. Yes, he had some really nice deep throws, no doubt about it. Threw the deep out relatively well, threw the long pass relatively well. But those short and intermediate passes that J.J. McCarthy threw were all over the place. I mean, they were wild. And you could see at times when he tried to put extra speed on the throws, when he tried to zip the outs, he was overthrowing. They were going over the receiver's head, which is J.J. McCarthy. So do I think he's going to go top 15? Yes, I think he's going to go to Denver Broncos in one shape, form, or another. But I think it's more because teams are desperate in that top 15. You know, when you get to that area from 11 to 15 or so, they're just desperate for a quarterback.
All right, so that's where we think he's going to go, and I'll give you my take on his workout in a second. But I want to follow up first here, Tony. From people you've talked to, where do you think teams have him graded in terms of either round or in terms of just how he's stacked vertically on their boards?
Well, I mean, there's still a lot to be played out. I don't know that he's a top 20 player on teams' boards, but he's going to go top 20. Like I said, I was told right after the workout that Sean Payton of Denver is in love with him. We saw what they did with Russell Wilson. And, you said Minnesota. As I reported from the Shrine Bowl, Payton was willing to move up to get a quarterback.
Absolutely. All right. So in terms of his workout, I thought it was fine. I think on tape, Tony, I did not love his deep ball on tape. I thought he kind of threw everything like a line drive. He didn't get any arc on any of his deep throws. And it's funny. I thought of what you said about McCarthy, and I knew exactly where you were coming from. All his throws are kind of line drives. I think he has good enough arm strength. I think he can hit that deep out. You made the point he threw the deep out well. I think his accuracy over the middle on tape, on crossers and stuff, is really strong. I think he's good at that. But, I think he puts the ball into danger a lot. He puts the ball into crowded areas in the middle of the field. I love his confidence to be willing to do that. And I'd rather pull somebody back from that than to try to get them to do that when it doesn't come naturally to them. But I do wonder, and this is the point you made a couple podcasts ago, if he's going against NFL defense with NFL quality defenders, will those passes get completed at the NFL level? I'm not sure about that. I'm looking forward to watching the second half of his season. Luckily, in terms of going through it, there's not a whole lot of pass attempts in the second half of his season because they ran the ball so much. But I'm curious to see where I wind up on him. But I understand the accuracy, the poise, and things like that in the intermediate portions of the field that teams will like. But I don't think I've seen enough to make him a top 15 or a top 10 player on my final board. Maybe that'll change, but right now I don't have him there.
I'd be shocked if it changes. Then when it changes is you find out something about other players that you don't like, and it's more a result of other players moving down and McCarthy filling that slot rather than you're going to move McCarthy up. And, just basically what I said all along is a lot of those passes that he was able to get away with on Saturday are going to be interceptions on Sunday. And that was prominent to me on the film. Love his moxie, love his confidence. But again, I think he's going to be overdrafted because of the position he plays.
All right, I thought, we talked at the Senior Bowl. Neither one of us was all that impressed with how Michael Penix threw the ball at the Senior Bowl. I thought he was really good indoors at the Combine, Tony. Threw a nice spiral, was very accurate, got the ball downfield, short intermediate, was accurate. I thought, Michael Penix is what he is at this point. We've seen him still throw many passes. I don't think anyone's learning anything new, but I thought he did throw the ball well down in Indy.
I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he had the best quarterback workout, hands down. Not just the deep ball, the short and intermediate throws. The outs were on target. They were timed well. They were accurate. I think he missed maybe a handful of throws, if that. But he had one of those quarterback workouts where you could see early on he was getting into a tempo. He could spin that ball better than anyone that I saw there. It makes it a very catchable throw. The ball has got excellent speed. Like I said, the timing, I know Dunze and Polk were in his group. But still, for him to do that at Lucas Oil Stadium to basically receivers that he had just met 48 hours ago, I'm not a Penix guy, but I thought his combine workout was a big win.
All right, I'll just throw out Bo Nix. I thought his workout matched his tape, right? I thought his arm strength was fine. It wasn't spectacular, but it was fine. I think it's what it looked like on tape, right? I thought he was pretty accurate with his throws, and to me, I think I think he just is what he is right now, and I think he kind of confirmed what I think we thought he was going into the process.
Was not a fan of Bo Nix workout. I'm going to slightly disagree with you on
please.
The arm strength. I mean, I did not like the speed of the outs. He threw one bounce pass. I was sitting there with a few people, and we kind of looked at each other. I think the thing with Bo Nix is great college quarterback, great leader. Applaud him for the last 2 years at Oregon. But not only the Combine, but the Senior Bowl, he's not proved to me that he's going to be anything other than a game manager on Sunday, which is okay. You can do that just as long as you have a great coach and you have other pieces around them. But again, I mean, we thought that the Senior Bowl, Bo Nix had an opportunity to have 3 great days of practice and cement himself as a first-round pick. Never happened. And I didn't see much elevation in his performance at the combine.
Yeah, look, I think when all is said and done, I'll have a day 2 grade on him, and I think that's where he's going to be, which is fine. That's great. But I'm with you. I don't see high end quarterback talent there. I'm with you on that. All right, any other quarterbacks jump out at you, Tony? Anything else you're hearing about the quarterback position walking out of Indy?
No, I mean, people were going gaga over the Joe Milton throw, the 80-yard pass downfield, which was a phenomenal pass. People were going nuts. But anything 20 yards and underneath, under 20 yards of Joe Milton, is an adventure. Somebody asked, I said to somebody, the operative word when Joe Milton throws the ball is duck, because you don't know where it's going to go. And people went crazy over that deep ball, which was phenomenal. But after that, I got from Joe Milton what I expected. Consistently inconsistent. He's got the tools. He's going to need a lot of work from the ground up. If somebody coaches him correctly at the next level and he's able to put it together, they hit a home run. Devin Leary, I thought he was up and down, had some nice throws, but overall wasn't a great workout. Spencer Rattler had some nice throws, did some good things, but again with Spencer Rattler, I mean, since his freshman year at Oklahoma, it's been very inconsistent. You don't know what you're getting from him. Sam Hartman, I think. I mean, he was the crowd favorite, looked great running the 40. Everybody's talking about him. Just does not have the arm strength. I mean, could not get speed on the throws. Had to put a lot of extra effort when he wanted to drive his passes.
He's got great hair, though. I mean,
that's what everybody says.
Phenomenal.
I don't have to worry about that. Do you?
I'm jealous. I'm not going to lie. I'm jealous of his hair. All right. Anything you hear in rumor-wise about quarterbacks besides the McCarthy stuff we ever heard? If you had to guess right now, Daniels 2, May 3, or May 2, Daniels 3?
I think there's no way Daniels gets past Washington. And I guess the rumor that I heard is that New England may trade down if they don't get Daniels at 3, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Interesting. I've also heard that maybe the market for Justin Fields isn't what we thought it might be, or maybe not even a second-round pick, but I think that's something we'll have to stay tuned for. I imagine at some point, this is recording this on Tuesday afternoon, we'll post on Wednesday. My guess is that, by the time free agency starts, Justin Fields will be somewhere, unless really there is no market. There's only so many quarterbacks in free agency. Baker Mayfield is anywhere yet, Kirk Cousins, and there's more open seats, I think, than there are quarterbacks. So, and now Russell Wilson's a free agent too. So we'll have to see what happens in terms of that. The running back position, Tony, it's a position that maybe gloss over is the wrong word, but, we've kind of been a little dismissive of it. Both of us probably don't think we're going to get a running back picked in the top 50, maybe not even until round 3 of this draft. Yeah, but I got to be honest with you. I was pretty impressed by this group in their workout. I was pretty happy with what I saw. Trey Benson running a 4.39 at 216 pounds. Let's start there. 6 feet, ran a 4.39, 1.52 split. He jumped pretty well. I think there's an easy argument to be made here that he should be the first running back off the board.
Well, either him or what we'll talk about, Blake Corum, but I would agree with you. I mean, I had written that he was expected to run fast. I think at that speed, and you see it on film. I mean, he's not a slow guy on film. He shows the ability to break into beat defenders into the open field and then run to daylight. So, but I would agree with you. It's him, or in my opinion, or Blake Corum, who I thought had a terrific workout, terrific in the position drills. But I thought Benson went there at that weight to be that fast, helped him.
Hey, look, and I was a little bit of a Blake Corum doubter, Tony, heading into the combine, and he sold me. I was really impressed. I thought the questions I had about him was not about his tape. It was about his athleticism. And what he did in the 40, a 4.53 isn't a, blowout time, but for him, that's fine. That is more than good enough with everything else he brings to the table. At 205 pounds at 5'8", he's a sturdy, dense guy. He's not going to be undersized. And then a 6.82 3-cone and a 4.12 shuttle, and he jumped well. He checked every box. If Blake Corum, to your point, is the first running back off the board, I'd have no problem with it. I think he's going to be a very good pro, and I thought his athleticism numbers, which for me were a worry, got disproven with what he showed in Indy.
Yeah, I mean, I actually expected a little bit faster. I thought he'd get in the 4.4s, but big deal. I mean, he was 4.100s off. He plays fast. And he's not just straight line fast. As you mentioned, that the 3-cone time and the short shuttle time, on film, he shows the ability to turn the corner. He's a terrific pass catcher. Is he a feature runner? No, but there are a few feature runners anymore in the NFL, and teams, are going to use him as a situational ball carrier, also a good blocker. I thought he acquitted himself well during the combine workout.
Two other guys, Marshawn Lloyd, who I know we were both
Yeah.
impressed by at the Senior Bowl. I thought, again, 4.46, 36-inch vertical jump at 5'9", 220. Those are really good numbers. And then Tony Ray Davis, 5'8", 211, running 4.52. I think he's a guy that probably has it in him to be kind of an every down back in some ways, maybe not a high-end one, but I think he has the body type and the build to do it. Those are two other guys that I thought did a really nice job.
Lloyd was terrific catching the ball in the backfield. Came in at 220. His playing weight's going to be closer to 212, but still ran a 4.46 at that weight, at that higher weight. Caught the ball very well. He looks strong. He runs with authority. Same thing with Davis, who has really good film. I mean, he's a good interior ball carrier. He's not afraid to grind it out on the inside. One guy, or actually two guys who really impressed me. I like Tyrone Tracy Jr. out of Purdue.
Tell the fans about him, Tony. We've even talked about him much, and he has a pretty interesting background and story about how he came to running back.
5'11", 209 pounds, which is playing weights closer to 205. Ran a 4.48 with 40 with a 1.53 split. 40-inch vertical jump. I'm looking at the numbers here. 6.81, 3-cone, 4.06, 20-yard shuttle. Sort of a do-it-all type of guy. Good pass catcher in the backfield. You're going to get him late in the draft, 6th, 7th round. But a guy who really has flown under the radar screen for most of the season, got some momentum late, and, he's been a good player. He had a terrific workout. I think he cemented himself as a day 3 pick. The other guy who I thought...
And by the way, for fans that don't know, former wide receiver. He's a guy that converted to running back late, so...
The other guy who I thought had a good workout, one of your favorites, Dylan Lau of New Hampshire, a 4.5, 4.40 with a 1.52 10-yard split, 37-inch vertical jump, 6.8, 4.3 cone, 4.02 a 20-yard shuttle, 23 reps on the bench. After the running back workout was done, they took him over. They had him field punts, field kicks, because if you watch the New Hampshire film, he's a game-breaking return specialist. Going to be a day 3 pick, but he's sort of your, as you like to say, Swiss Army knife. He does everything well. He's a good pass catcher out of the backfield, runs hard on the inside, shows the ability to turn the corner, and he brings that element of return specialist with him. And again, he's good at the Senior Bowl. He's better at the combine, and he's building momentum heading towards the draft.
Jalen Wright from Tennessee, Tony, showed off his speed. And then I have not watched a second of his game tape. I need to go and do it. But Isaac Guerendo at 6 foot, 221 pounds, ran a 4.33, jumped 41 inches, broad jumped almost 11 feet, 6'9", 4.3 cone at that size with a 4.15 shuttle. For a guy that size, whoo, boy.
Really doesn't play to that speed, though. And I knew about Guerendo going, he's a track and field guy. So this was not unexpected because, he was just a track and field sprinter. He's a real good athlete. He's a bigger bodied running back who does the little things well, exceptional blocker and pass protection, which is what I think is going to get him drafted. I actually thought, I know his teammate, Jawar Jordan, didn't run all that well, ran a 4.56, but I thought Jordan did very well during the position drills, looked strong, looked quick as well.
What do you think of Jalen Wright? We haven't talked much about him, Tony.
Straight line home run hitter. I mean, if there's the smallest bit of open space, he busts through the hole, beats defenders into the open field, plays at 40 speed, can run the daylight. Not the biggest. Well, I mean, what it was is his weight was 210 pounds. But when you watch him, he's not a guy that breaks a lot of tackles. He's not a guy that picks up a lot of yards off initial contact. He's more of a speed back. If he learns to play to his size, watch out. Also a decent pass catcher out of the backfield, or as best as you can be, catching the ball from Joe Milton.
All right, two other running backs for you. One, a guy that I liked coming out of, was it Senior Bowl or Shrine? Isaiah Davis out of South Dakota State, Tony. Yeah, 6 foot, came in at 218 pounds, which is a good weight. Ran a 4.57. That was a big worry for him. A 4.57 is not a great time, but for between the tackles guy, it's okay. But jumped 34 inches, which was nice. Jumped 9.11 broad, which is a pretty good jump. And I think he's going to be another kind of day 3 pick that couldn't have been like the interior short yardage part of a timeshare, and he's a good receiver out of the backfield too in terms of pass pro.
Good short area quickness too. I mean, he's more of a downhill runner, but he's got the ability to quickly avoid piles or make defenders miss. The game film is really good, and I mean, he's been solid throughout the post-draft, pre-draft process, the postseason process, and he's definitely cemented himself as a day 3 selection.
Were you concerned that at 5'9", 192, Bucky Irving only ran a 4.55? If you're that small, I feel like your time's got to be a little faster, no?
Yeah, I thought it would have been faster. 154, 10-yard split, 29.5 vertical jump, 9.7 broad.
Not great.
Not good marks altogether. You're looking at a guy who he's football fast, he's football quick, may not be the greatest athlete in the world, but as you said, at that size, you expect a little bit faster. 29.5-inch arms, that's not too bad. Is it a concern? Well, it's a concern that he's not in the top 2 running backs. It's going to be Benson or Blake Corum. He's further down the list. Could he fall? As much as I like his game, when you look at the numbers, you think maybe 4th round. One last back I got to bring up, and I hate to beat a dead horse.
You can pat yourself on the back, Tony. It's okay. Pat yourself on the back. It's fine. I know where you're going with this.
I've never been a fan of Audric Estime, and I've said it time and time. People pat him as a top 3 back, as a day 2 pick, 4.71 in the 40, 1.58 in the 10-yard split, 23 bench, decent vertical jump, 38 inches. But to me, again, you watch him, he is a downhill ball carrier, has been compared to A.J. Dillon. You talk to Green Bay Packers, would they draft A.J. Dillon again in the 2nd round? I tend to doubt it. I mean, he is what he is. He is a solid short yardage, goal line ball carrier. And in this day and age in the NFL, you don't draft that type of back in the initial 4 rounds.
All right, anything you're hearing in terms of running back, when do you think, if I made you over under right now, what pick the first running back will be selected? What pick would you put out there for that?
Over under would be 55 right now, late 2nd.
55. All right, I like it. And you think probably Benson right now would be the first guy off the board, or Brooks from Texas, who obviously didn't work out because of the knee?
Yeah, I mean, Brooks is highly rated, but doesn't have a big body of work. And, they say he's going to be ready for training camp, but does that mean, he's going to be 100% ready? I think it's going to be Benson or Blake Corum. It's kind of funny. I mean, Keelan Robinson, Brooks' teammate, invited to the combine, 4.4, 240, 1.51 10-yard split, only carried the ball 12 times last year. I mean, they invite him to the combine. He is a tremendous return specialist, along with Dylan Laub. When the running back workout was done, he, with Laub, was fielding punts and kicks that coming out of the machine. So that's really, if you're going to draft him, that's why you're going to draft him. But it was kind of strange that guy only carried the ball 12 times last year. And it's not because he was injured, not because he was sidelined. It's just that, they had Brooks, they had other people there, but got an invite to the combine.
What do you think of Will Shipley, a guy that did not work out at the combine, but had some success at Clemson? We haven't really talked much about him on the podcast.
I love Shipley's film. I mean, I have Shipley as a late 3rd round guy, as a pass catcher, as a ball carrier, decent blocker. I love his overall game. Want to see his testing numbers. The film on Shipley, I really like a lot.
All right, there we go. Let's jump. I'm going to leave the wide receivers for last because they're the sexy position. Everybody likes it. You're going to have to wait till the end for that one, folks. So stay tuned. We'll get to them last. Let's jump to tight end here, Tony. And it's a class much like the running backs that we haven't talked a bunch about. Obviously, Brock Bowers, you said it would be kind of a game-time decision whether or not he would work out, and it turned out to be a no-go. So he did not do anything, which is fine. We'll see him at his pro day. He's still coming back from that, tightrope surgery and all that stuff he dealt with over the course of the year. Wants to be 100%. Totally understand that. Let's start with your guy, Jatavian Sanders, Tony. And 6'4", 245, good size. You like that. But a 4.69 40, and he had one that went over 4.7 as well, just a 1.59 split, 4.32 shuttle. Your thoughts on Sanders? And I think any hope of a late 1st round pick for him is kind of gone now. Maybe late 2nd round, you think? What are your feelings?
I still think top 40 for for Saunders because the fact is this. Let's talk about the tight end workout. The tight end workout didn't start until 7:45 on Friday night. And I had said that about Bowers. They're going to sit around all night. They're going to sit around all day, and then they, take to the field at 7:45 because that safety workout took more than 2 hours. The safeties just went on and on and on. And I was sitting there all day on Saturday. So 7:45, I believe, is when the first tight ends started to run. I finally said I had enough, and I had to get out of there. As far as Sanders is concerned, there's football fast, and then there's 40 fast. The fact is he's a bigger playmaking tight end. I still think, as I wrote, there's a chance he could go late first round. Maybe Kansas City, who's got to get ready for the future after Kelsey. Maybe San Francisco's got to get ready for the future after Kittle. I don't know, Miami. He still has his pro day. I'm sure he's going to have run his pro day, and it'll be a little bit better. I thought he did the position drills, but he's a good pass catcher, as we've seen, I should say, at Texas, even though they had a lot of receivers there and the ball could only go to so many guys. I'm not going to just discount it because a 4.69 is not a bad time. I mean, let's be honest, it's not a bad time, and he still has his pro day to work out.
Other tight ends that I thought were impressive, Tony. Let's start with Theo Johnson out of Penn State. 6'6", 259, really good size, ran a 4.58. I don't think he quite ran to that time when we saw him in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, but these Penn State kids, they know how to put up workout numbers. They always have. Whatever they do in the strength and conditioning program there, these guys are ready to go. Jump 39.5 inches at that weight is really impressive. A 10.5 broad. I think Theo Johnson, if he's the third tight end off the board, that wouldn't surprise me.
But see, the thing with Theo Johnson is, he was expected to do this. This wasn't, say, anything out of the ordinary because everyone knew Theo Johnson was a great athlete. The problem is, I think he had 44 receptions, but when you watch the Penn State film, he just doesn't wow you. He doesn't come across as a guy who's 260 pounds and runs a 4.55 or runs in the mid 4.5s and just comes across as a great dominant athlete. So I think with Theo Johnson, sort of the opposite with Jatavian Sanders in the sense that Johnson's a great athlete who's got to learn to be a really good football player, where Sanders maybe doesn't have the same athletic prowess or the same testing numbers, but he's shown himself to be a real consistent threat and a big play tight end.
All right, Ben Sinnott, Tony, H-back, versatile, measured in just under 6'4", 250 pounds, ran a 4.68, 40-inch vertical jump. I think he's a guy that I think a lot of NFL teams are going to be attracted to just because of his versatility, and I think his workout was more than good enough to make him attractive to NFL teams in the mid-rounds. Well,
mid-rounds, day two. I mean, you mentioned Theo Johnson being the third tight end off the board. I think Ben Sinnott could be the third tight end off the board. I'm sure he's going to run again at that Big 12 Pro Day. I'm sure it'll be faster. He's a sneaky guy. He's the guy who finds ways to separate, catches the ball very well. The thing is that frame. I mean, you said H-back. If teams don't think he can be your traditional or full-time tight end and he's more of an H-back, that may limit the market for him. But right now, he's my third tight end.
All right, any other tight ends jump out to you, Tony?
Well, obviously, Devin Culp with that 40 time. You want to talk about H-backs. I mean, out of Washington, a guy, he ran the 4.47 with a 1.55 split. But
6'3", 230, yeah.
231. That's sort of where does he fit at the next level? Are you playing him on the line of scrimmage? Are you lining him up back off the line of scrimmage? I thought overall, Tip Ryman at 270 pounds, 4.64. Cade Stover, I think, ran reasonably well. Brevin Spanford, 4.77. Scouts have talked about him for the longest time as a day 2 pick. I never saw it with him. Guy who didn't work out, that's getting a lot of traction. We spoke about him once or twice during the season. Eric All from Iowa. Played 7 games last year, tore an ACL. I think he played 2 games the year before at Michigan before he had a back injury. Teams love this guy. I mean, because he's 6'5", he's 260 pounds. He's expected to be a 4.6 type guy. Eric All is a guy who no one's talking about because he hasn't really played much football the past 2 years. was invited to the combine, is expected to be ready full speed come training camp. He's a guy who could go much earlier, from what I heard in Indianapolis, than people are expecting. Late third round, early fourth round, all of a sudden Eric All's name is called off the board, and people are going crazy because he hasn't played. But a lot of teams like him. They like that potential. They like that big playability that he has. Many of the teams that are looking at Jatavian Sanders, Miami Dolphins, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Kansas City Chiefs are also looking at Eric All.
What do you think of Tanner McLaughlin, Tony? He's a guy we haven't talked much about. I thought he had a pretty good workout.
I mean, again, from Arizona, decent size. That offense there was kind of funky in the sense that they had Cowing, they had Wiley. I think he's got a lot of upside. I think he's a late round pick.
All right. Anything else at the tight end spot that you want to feature?
That's it.
All right, let's jump to the offensive lineman. Let's go interior first. We'll save the tackles for last year, Tony. And we had some really good workouts, I thought, from the center guard. Some of the underside centers. Tanner Bortolini had a really nice workout at 303 pounds. He moved really well. I liked him at the Senior Bowl. He did well. We saw Matt Lee, I believe, at Shrine, correct? And I think he did a pretty good job there. He had a nice workout. And my guy, Mason McCormick, I thought he was really good. He had a really good workout. And a guy we talked about at Shrine too, CJ Hansen, smaller, but boy, he's got really good feet.
I think with all those guys, they're athletic guys who just have to get bigger. They have to get stronger. I think with those guys, we got what we expected. I mean, we knew they were good athletes. At least we knew they were good movers. They were good zone blocking prospects. And they impressed. The guy who absolutely blew me away with his workout, with his movement skills, was Christian Haynes of UConn, who I think now has moved into the early part of round 2. 5.03 in the 40 with a 1.75 10-yard split, 33-inch vertical jump, 8'6" broad, 25 on the bench. Now, why do I say that? 6'3", 317 pounds. When you look at Christian Haynes, when we saw him at the Senior Bowl, he looked solely like a power gap blocker. You're going to have to keep him in confined quarters. He's a big mass, just punch in the face type of guy. Yet all of a sudden, I know it's shorts and t-shirt, you saw him move incredibly well during his testing and during the position drills. I mean, I was like, and I was texting people as this was going on. I was like, I mean, look at this guy move around the field. He never did this at UConn. Really didn't do it at the Senior Bowl, but he's got this potential. And I think, you talk about Bortolini and Matt Lee. Those guys were expected to run good times, to have good testing workouts because they're good athletes, movers at the offensive line position. I think what Christian Haynes did really caught a lot of people by surprise, which really elevated his draft stock.
Two other guys inside. I thought Charles Turner moved really well from LSU. We talked about him a little bit in Mobile. And then Brandon Coleman, who played both guard and tackle a little bit, but 6'4", 313, 34 and 5/8 arms, ran an under 5-second 40-yard dash, a 1.73 10-yard split, which is pretty good. Jumped over 30 inches, broad jumped 9.5 feet. Brandon Coleman had a really nice workout.
Big man who plays big football, who's got some upside potential, 6'4.5", 313 pounds. I want to say one thing that caught me by surprise, and he didn't have a bad workout. Cooper Beebe, 5'03" in the 40, 1.75 10-yard split, 31.5-inch arms, which is really going to hurt him. I mean, guys like, I didn't think that Cooper Beebe, I thought all along, could be a late first-round pick. But with 31.5-inch arms, he's going to get pushed down draft boards. And there's going to be a lot of people who will move up ahead of him. Not only 31.5-inch arms, only did 20 reps on the bench. You got short arms. You're supposed to be able to do more reps because you don't have to push the bar, push the 225 pounds as much as a guy that's got 34-inch arms.
With his tape, I'd still be comfortable using a second-round pick on him. I think,
absolutely.
Physical, smart. He's played a lot of football. I like Cooper Beebe, but you're right, that arm length. And people kind of knew he had the T-Rex arms going in. We just didn't know what he would measure at. And look, those are short arms, but he's not a tackle. At least I ought to give him some type of reprieve from that. All right, let's go to the offensive tackle class, Tony. And we had such high hopes for this class coming in. And to me, everyone kind of met expectations. Maybe some guys could have been a little bit better here or there. But all the guys that we had first-round grades on, Tyler Fuanga, Tyler Guyton, Olu Fashanu, Jordan Morgan, Joe Alt, even Kingsley Suamatia, Amarius Mims, Troy Fatanu, all these guys, and we'll get into them individually, obviously, but no one disappointed. Like, I didn't walk out saying, oh, that guy's not a first round pick now. They all did really nice jobs.
And I think some of the guys really helped themselves. I mean, you didn't mention Roger Rosengarten. We'll talk about.
Oh, he's on my list.
Tylen Grable. I mean, from Central Florida, who he's got terrific film. He had an outstanding workout. I thought that Sue Matata, Jordan Morgan had a terrific workout. Amarius Mims, for a guy that big, right tackle prospect, I thought he did well. So,
Tony.
yeah, I mean, this was, we knew it was a offensive tackle rich draft, and these guys stepped up at the combine.
All right, let's start with Amarius Mims. 6'8", 340, with extremely low body fat. I mean, he looks good for 340 pounds. 36 and an eighth inch arms. Holy cow. Ran a 5.07. His jumping numbers weren't great, but I know he hurt himself too running. Who cares? This guy, and look, we've talked about him a lot here because his lack of experience, just I think 8 college starts, right? But somebody's going to fall in love with these traits. And when he played, by the way, he was good. It's not like his tape was bad. And he's going to go, I could see him being a top 15 pick with these measurables. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be maybe Pittsburgh. I think he's going to be a little bit later than that. I did hear some concerns about immaturity, but hey, guy coming out of Georgia is immature. Is that news to us? I mean, come on, let's be serious. But yeah, I mean, everything you said is right on. I mean, only 8 starts, but when he's on the field, he's a masher. I mean, he is a guy who you're not going to pull him across the line of scrimmage, but he shows on film the ability to get out to the second level, which is what those athletic numbers really prove. 6'8", 340. I mean, with those arms, you're looking at a guy who, and he's just basically, this is the tip of the iceberg for Mims. He's one of those guys who is really good now, and if he's focused on the task at hand and really puts his mind to it, he could be outstanding 2 or 3 years down the road.
Speaking of outstanding, I'm no longer going to refer to Troy Fatanu as a guard prospect anymore. This guy's a tackle. Look at his workout and his measurements. 6'4", 317, 34 and a half inch arms, ran a 5'1", 40, vertical jumped over 30 inches. Why? And he played great on film at tackle at Washington. Why am I moving this guy inside, Tony? I'm leaving him outside. That's where he's played. He's played well. His measurements all match up for tackles. He's a tackle on my board now. I'm not even thinking about guard.
It depends. I mean, he's probably, I think he was rounded off to 6'4". He's probably slightly under 6'4". I want to get that master report and see what the exact measurement was. But again, I mean, there are some teams that don't mind the shorter tackles, but I've always felt with a guy with any player who plays left tackle and does it well on the college level and shows the athleticism and the footwork and the movement skills, you leave him at left tackle until he proves otherwise. Then you've got a guy like, say, Elijah Vera-Tucker of USC, who's now with New York Jets, who was a terrific left tackle, but they want to stick him in at guard. But yeah, I mean, again, another athletic guy who's got good size in the sense that good girth, good bulk, moves incredibly well, and really lived up to expectations. And I Roger Rosengarten just blew me away because when you watch Roger Rosengarten, who played on the other side of Fanadu at Washington, 6'5", 308 pounds, arms a little bit short at 33 and a half inches, 4'9", 240, 173 10-yard split, 30-inch vert, 4.6 shuttle. You watch Rosengarten compared to his teammate, you thought, well, he's more powerful, but he's not as athletic. Although he was, he showed zone blocking ability at Washington, the ability to get out to the second level. And now he's gone from someone who I thought was mid-second round, probably into the early part of round 2, Roger Rosengarten. Don't think he moved into the first round, but definitely helped himself because he was more athletic than what people expected. People don't realize that's what the combine is. If you're expected to be a 5'10" offensive lineman, I think the 40 is important. You look at the 10 time, and you come in and you're much more athletic than anybody expected. That is really going to help you. That's what Rosengarten did.
Yeah, I'm with you. Remember, he was the left tackle in Washington, and then when they got a left-handed quarterback, they thought so much of him, they put him on the right side so he'd be protecting Michael Penix's blind side. And that's where he played the last couple of years with Penix there. So I'm with you. I'm higher than on Rosengarten than most. Talking to people down there, I think some people have him as like a late round 3, early round 4 pick. I have him more top of round 3, end to middle of round 2. I think he's a good player. So I'm with you. A couple other guys, Tony. Talese Fuanga, I thought he moved very well. I was happy with how he moved in some of those mirror drills, feeling better about him at tackle. Tyler Guyton didn't test quite as well as I thought he would, but I thought he was fine. He was good enough, obviously. Olu Fashanu, he didn't finish his workout. He pulled, I think it was a thigh, right? It was a quad during his 40-yard dash, but he was fine. Joe Alt, the 40 time wasn't great, but everything else was fantastic, and he's just a gigantic human being. I thought he just looked a little stiff in some of the movement stuff, but he's just so big with those arms. I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. And then Kingsley Suamatia, I thought he was really smooth in all his workouts. So all those guys are sticking where they are for me, if not even helped themselves a little bit.
I think Suamatia cemented himself as a first-round pick. I mean,
I hope so.
Decent workout, 31 on the bench with 34 and a quarter inch arms, moved incredibly well. The jumps weren't great, but okay, fine. I mean, that's explosion. You see he's got to improve his run blocking a little bit. Not that it's bad. I thought he was really, I really think if he didn't help himself, he cemented himself as a first-round pick. I thought Jordan Morgan did exceptionally well, moved relatively well, real good athlete, as we knew he would be. One guy that's going to be interesting to watch is Andrew Raham, the center from Oklahoma. Had a horrendous workout. Horrendous. 5.42 in the 40 with a 1.94 10-yard split, 24.5-inch vertical jump, 7.11 broad jump. You're looking at those numbers, and that's 7th-round free agent type numbers for an offensive lineman. But you watch the film, and the guy's a masher. The guy is someone who punches you in the face. He's a good power gap blocker. So that's going to be interesting to watch. I'm sure he'll run at the they're not in the Big 12 pro day. They're in the SEC now. So Oklahoma's going to have their own pro day. I'm sure those numbers will be better. And somebody I mentioned early on, Kylan Grable, the left tackle out of Central Florida, who had an exceptional workout. Came in, measured in 6'6", 306 pounds, 4.95 40 with a 1.69 10-yard split, 36.5-inch vertical jump. He plays to those numbers on the field. He is an athletic guy on the field who shows a lot of ability and pass protection with that body type. He's got growth potential. He's a guy, I don't think he's a day 2 guy, but I think he's an early day 3 guy, 4th round. He's got a lot of upside. No one talks about him because few pay attention to him, in large part because there's so many other tackles in this class. But I was glad to see Grable because I've always thought highly of him.
Yeah, and then look, and he didn't work out. It wasn't off the charts or anything. I think Christian Jones is going to be a good football player, Tony. I think you put him at right tackle in the pros. Well, you can get him top of the 4th round, bottom of the 3rd round. I think he could be a starting tackle in this league. So I just wanted to throw him out there out of Texas.
Well, his workout was actually pretty good. 5.04 in the 40. His 3-cone was a little bit slow. His bench press was a little bit poor. I think I spoke with him at the Senior Bowl. He's not the greatest athlete in the world, but I think he's a good player. And he's been consistent really since his freshman year at Texas.
All right, let's go to the wide receivers, Tony, unless there's something else on the tackles you want to mention. And I counted, by the way. I think we might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we could have 8 or 9 offensive tackles in the 1st round, depending on how you qualify Fautanu from Washington. I mean, it's going to be a historic 1st-round offensive tackle class. That's how good this group is.
And it's a position of need, and they're all good athletes. So you're going to have right tackle prospects who are very athletic go throughout the 1st round.
All right, let's jump to wide receiver. We could do a full show just on wideouts. That's how good this group was, Tony. And everyone makes a big deal out of the Xavier Worthy 4.21, which, by the way, yeah, okay, I'm not going to argue with that. That's a big deal. That's really impressive. But we thought he was going to run fast, right? To me, the more impressive 40-yard dashes are the ones by A.D. Mitchell, Brian Thomas, and Devontae Walker, who are 30 and 40 pounds heavier than Worthy, who weighed in a 165, and they all ran in the mid-4.3s, which, oh, man, that's good.
You look at Brian Thomas on film, and he looks like a taller, bigger possession receiver. And then he goes out and he runs a 4.33, and you're like, wow, were they just having him run underneath routes because they had a guy like Malik Neighbors who could get it down the field? Or is it just you have to teach him to play to this speed. 6'3", 209 pounds, 32 and 3/4 inch arms, 9 and 3/4 inch hands, which is important. Bench press 11, big deal. 30.5 inch vertical jump on top of the 6'3". Thomas is going to go in the late first round. Does the 40 time push him up even further? I don't know. But again, I go back to the thought of expectations. You thought, okay, Brian Thomas, real good receiver, low 4.5s, maybe high 4.4s, and then he runs a 4.34. And it's a matter of, where was his speed on film? And what happens is the coaches will look at these numbers and they say, you know what? We're going to coach him to play to that speed. So not only do we have a big body receiver with reliable hands, but we got a big body receiver with reliable hands who can run a 4.34. We're going to teach him. We're going to coach him to play to that speed.
Yeah, look, I'll slightly disagree with you just because I thought he'd run really well. I didn't think it was going to be mid 4.3s. I thought I saw some deep speed on tape where he'd be in the low 4.4s, but at that size, really, really impressive. Not shocked that A.D. Mitchell ran as well that he did, Tony. You watch him on tape, he can move, he can run. I think his change of direction was really good as well over the course of the week. And that, to me, is what makes him different, right? You have these guys that run really well, but they're not that big. They're not great route runners. He's inconsistent. He lacks some polish.
Yeah.
And, he doesn't bring it every game necessarily. But if you just look at the athletic package, A.D. Mitchell is a top 20 player most years. Now, there's 3 other great wide receivers this year, so he's not going to go as high. But I think he's a lock first-round pick now. And if you get a team that can develop him and polish him up a little bit, he does have number 1 X wide receiver type of potential in this league.
And he's been like that since he was a freshman at Georgia, where I thought, wow, this guy is going to be an early first-round prospect. Got hurt his second year at Georgia. Played at Texas this year, and there was a crowd of pass catchers at Texas. And like you said, there was some inconsistency in his game. There was some inconsistency in his pass catching workout at the combine as well. But he's a bigger guy, excellent arm length at just under 32.5 inches. He's very smooth. He's very fluid in the sense that he's going faster than he looks because of that frame. I think he can. I'm not so sure that he's a lock first-round pick. I could see him being a first-round pick. I hope he is because I fawned over him the past 3 years. But still, I think he's got a great upside to his game.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then I was happy Devontae Walker caught the ball well. He had so many drops at the Senior Bowl. We were worried about that. He showed off the speed. We knew he had it. And I thought he caught the ball pretty well in the field workouts. I was happy for him.
Yeah, 40.5-inch vertical jump on top of that 4.36 40. 11.2 broad. He's an athlete. The thing with Walker is it's going to come down to the interviews because the story. Had to transfer because he wanted to play close to home, wanted to play back in North Carolina. There's going to be some question about that, no doubt about it. But again, here's a guy who's got a great amount of upside. He's got a good frame. He's been a big play receiver. Caught the ball relatively well after dropping more passes than he actually caught at the Senior Bowl.
And then Rome Odunze, Tony, just did everything. He checked every box. He even did the shuttle. He did the 3-cone. He did well on that for a guy his size. He weighed in at a good weight, over 210 pounds. His 40 time was in the mid 4.4s, which is, I thought, a good time for him based on what you saw on tape. I mentioned his agility drills. Those are good. His jumping drills are good. His on-the-field workouts were great. His interviews, from what I understand, were also very, very good. He's going to be a top 10 pick. And there's just not many holes in his game. He's so solid across the board. I think he's going to be a very, very safe pick for whomever ends up with him.
You talk about the 40 time, fine. We know he's not a true vertical threat. Okay, fine. His 10-yard split was 1.52 compared to Xavier Worthy, who had a 1.49. So his 10-yard split, which is important because that gauges your ability to quickly get off the line of scrimmage and get to top speed. And like you said, he caught the ball well, plays with great balance and body control. That's something you want to see, especially from the bigger guys. Are they coming out of their breaks under control, staying low, sinking their hips, ready to catch the ball? He did that throughout the workout, which is what he did at Washington.
100%. Some of the smaller guys, and I say smaller just because they're not like 6'3". Roman Wilson, I thought, had a really nice day. Ran a 4.41, or was it 4.40 with the final official? Whatever it was one of those two. Ladd McConkey broke the 4.4 barrier, which is huge for him. I think he showed that, look, I'm not just a slot guy. I can play outside too with that speed. And then Ricky Pearsall, who had one really good practice in Mobile before he said, I'm out of here. Peace. And got out of town. He was great again. 6'1", checked every box on the workout. If you're looking for day two, really solid receivers that can do a little bit of everything and run and catch and run good routes, those three guys are going to be, I think, really good round two players that teams are going to pick up here in the draft.
McConkey ran much faster than I would have ever expected. I wouldn't have expected anything under 4.4. 30.25-inch arms, hands that are barely over 8.5 inches. So it's going to be interesting because if you are a metrics guy, a metrics team, and you're looking at arm length and hand length and hand size, that may not sit well with you. Roman Wilson basically did what we knew he was going to do. A lot of people think he's an absolute second-round pick. But again, 30 3/8 inches. His hand size is 9 3/8 inches. Plays big football, even though he's not the biggest
Tony,
guy in the world.
Real quick, just seeing him at the podium, he's very narrow. Like, he is like just not a big-bodied guy at all.
Yeah, and that's why he's a slot return type guy. Pearsall, who was a tough receiver, everything. I mean, was much faster than anybody expected. Good vertical jump. I think part of the problem with Pearsall is that Florida offense was so all over the place. Good three-cone time. I don't know that he's going to get into day two of the draft, but I think he's going to be a real good pickup early part of day three.
Couple other guys, too, I'll throw out there that I thought had pretty good workouts, Tony. I thought Xavier Legette did what he had to in terms of his athletic numbers. I thought he checked some boxes. Troy Franklin, I thought was fine. I thought his field workout was a little rough. He kept slipping and falling down. I don't know if his cleats were bad or something, but he ran okay. He only measured 173 on Franklin, I think, which I didn't love, or 176. And then I thought the two other Washington receivers had good days. I thought Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan were also both pretty darn good.
I think the interesting thing is, does Xavier Worthy move ahead of Troy Franklin right now on boards because of that speed, because of the fact that he was, 0.2 of a second faster. 40 time, you can look at it any way you want, but you look at John Ross, you look at Tavon Austin, guys who just blistered in pre-draft workouts.
Darius Hayward Bay, another guy.
Watch their draft stock take off. So I think the thing with Franklin's time and his workout is he now past because of what Xavier Worthy did, ran the 40, and that was it. I thought Jaquan Jackson of Tulane had a real good workout, looked very quick. Cornelius Johnson, a guy that we spoke about almost every day from the Shrine Bowl, 4.44 40-yard time. I mean, for a guy that's 212 pounds,
great
and
work,
is not a vertical receiver, that was incredibly quick. And we know from watching him at the Shrine game, he even, throughout his career at Michigan, when they threw him the ball, he is a real good pass catcher.
Yeah, I think he's a sleeper, much like Roman Wilson, just not a lot of targets because of Michigan's offense. But at that size, with that workout, I think some team is going to roll the dice on him, and I think they'll get a good player, potentially on day three. One guy we
do got to talk about is, Keon Coleman.
Yeah, please go ahead, Ed. Talk about Keon, and then I have two other guys I want to mention too.
People were talking about him as potentially the second receiver off the board during the season. Runs a 4.61, which is not good at 213 pounds. 38-inch vertical jump. Good arm length, good hand size, but where does he fit into the draft now? People were talking about him as a first-round pick. I never had him as a first-round pick. You're looking at, late second round right now. And Johnny Wilson. I mean, didn't Johnny Wilson run in the mid 4.5s? Let me look here real quick.
And look at Johnny Wilson's three-cone and shuttle numbers. At 6'7", What is he, 6'8"? Those numbers were even good. Johnny Wilson, he's like, Pauline and Schmeelk, stop calling me a tight end, guys. Yeah. I'm a receiver. Look at me.
He came in 6'6", 231 pounds. Got to go back to the Senior Bowl, which is more exact measurements. 35 3/8-inch arms, 10-inch hands, 37-inch vertical jump, 4.52. The 1.55 split is a little bit slow, but still, again, it's a game. It's a matter of expectations. If you looked at the preseason charts, everyone thought that Johnny Wilson was a 4.62, 4.65 guy. He comes and he runs a 10th faster.
Yeah, Really impressive. And I think you can find a way to use him as a weapon here. And I will give Coleman credit. Like, they flashed on TV, Tony, if you watched, I know you were in the building. They put up the miles per hour tracking speed for the guys when they run like the gauntlet and stuff like that. And Keon Coleman posted some of the fastest gauntlet time numbers. So I think he showed that maybe the play speed a little bit faster than the 40 times. So something to keep in mind too.
Well, the gauntlet's important because you're basically running lateral. I mean, it's more of a lateral drill, like a crossing pattern, if you will.
Yeah.
And, there's straight line speed and there's lateral speed. So you're absolutely right. That is important.
All right. Final guy I want to talk about is Malik Washington, Tony, a guy that we saw in Frisco, and we liked what he did there. He's kind of a big run after catch guy, shrunken into miniature form. His numbers at Virginia this year were tremendous. He ran a sub 4.5. I think he had the highest vertical jump of any wide receiver there. I think he's a guy that helped himself trying to make himself into a day 2 wide receiver.
We'll see if he's day 2. I mean, short arms, but
I said trying. Didn't say he'll get there. Yeah. He's trying.
Well, I mean, he's a legitimate next level prospect. If he doesn't go day 2, he's going to go early day 3. Great route runner, as we saw at the Shrine Bowl, has been an incredibly productive pass catcher, not only last year at UVA, but even when he was at Northwestern. Great route runner who knows how to separate. He also should be able to double as a return specialist. A lot there to like. Is a smaller guy, 5'8.5", 190 pounds. So, you've got to be able to overcome that depending on the type of offense that you run.
All right, Tony, final question before we wrap this up. And again, defense will be next week. How do you see the order of the top 3 wide receivers going in this draft and why?
It hasn't changed. I mean, even though Marvin Harrison seems to continually shoot himself in the foot by doing, dopey things, I still think it's Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze, and I think they're all top 10 picks. Want to see how Neighbors, even if Neighbors doesn't come out with a great 40 time, you watch the film and he's super fast and he's super quick. There were some people who think that Malik Neighbors could go higher than Marvin Harrison. I don't fathom that happening. I still have Marvin Harrison number 1 on my board, and I think those are the top 3 guys.
I'm with you, Tony. Good stuff. Stay tuned next week as we dive into the defensive half of the NFL Combine as NFL free agency gets underway as well. Again, we'll do our free agency review and how that impacts team needs in the draft the week after free agency begins. So we get a couple more signings and we'll see exactly what's going on. For Tony Pauline, I'm John Schmeelk. We'll see you next time on Draft Season.